My mom made this for me, and I am so proud of her and happy with it as I just wanted to show it off. That's not wearing it today, but Psychonauts, welcome back to the Micro Pioneers space. And thank you for joining me again. My name is Rui. I'm grateful for having you here with me. Recently, I had a conversation with a brethren, and he was telling me we were talking about mushrooms, psychoactive mushrooms, and he doesn't agree with its usage, but I do, obviously. So we were having a conversation around that, and he said to me, we should be going to our elders for guidance, and that is who we should be turning to. And my response was, which elders? Where these elders that you're talking about that that has the information that we're looking for, and can give us this unedited, unadulterated information that we're seeking, the truth that we're looking for. Where are they? And this idea is kind of what inspired this talk for today. So, as the title suggests, I want to have a conversation around mushrooms as looking to them as our elders, and just the basic, from the most basic perspective. Yes, Mike. Okay, mommy's doing something, okay? Alright, good. Just from the basic idea of fungi being one of the oldest living organisms. They've been here longer than we have been here, suggests to us that they are essentially our elders, because an elder is an older person who of your lineage, who has been here before you, older than you, probably wiser than you, has a certain amount of a wealth of information and experiences that you can look to, who can guide you. And mushrooms are precisely this. They are of our lineage because we share DNA with mushrooms, with fungi. I like to say fungi, right? We share DNA with them, and we're similar. They've been here longer than we've been here, and they have a lot more information than we have. And in my estimation, these are the elders, and we can commune with them, we can communicate with them, and they can give us guidance. So why not look to them and conceptualize them as our elders? How do they have this information? How do they amass all of this information? And if we go down that road, then we'd have to think about their myceliums, role or the part that they play in our environment, ecological role that they play. And mycelium breaks down organic matter. Everything that's in our world, every part of nature, everything that we see around us, when it decays and it has reached its end, the end of its cycle, and it goes back to the earth, mycelium is there waiting to decompose it, to break it down, to absorb minerals and nutrients from the things that they break down, and then they redistribute it, and then they bear fruit, and we can eat these, and we can nourish ourselves for food, or we can expand our minds, our consciousness. So when we think about when we have someone who transitions and their physical body is no longer functioning, we put them into the earth, or we burn them, or whatever, but we put them into the earth, they go back to the earth, and what feeds on them is the mycelium, which is responsible for the mushrooms that we get. So what does this mean for us? What does this say to us? The fact that mycelium eats the physical body of our ancestors, our literal, not literal, but the ancestors that we can see with our eyes, and we feel familiarity with, because we grew up around them, or we identify with them based on color or culture or nationality. They are breaking these things down. They're eating them, and they are giving us something else out of all of this matter that they would have accumulated from their what they do, and then they give us it back. They give this back to us, and we can eat this. And the way that I imagine it is that all of the information, and because I believe that we store things in our flesh and in our blood, and like we store information. It's all about information. It's like a great big database. It's just information everywhere in everything, right? And so we store all of this information into our flesh, all of our experiences and that kind of thing. And another organism kind of just takes this into itself, and all of this information now is part of another entity that we can take back into ourselves, and then we can now tap into a wealth of information that does not, it's always there, because information, everything is there for us to tap into. There's no separation or information that is just accessible to one group or whatever. It's just based on, if we are able to access the information. So we are able to tap into this information because of the role the mushrooms play. And now we can benefit from it in a way that we may not necessarily be able to just like that. So when we look at them in that way, we can see how we can also go to them for guidance. Well, it makes sense to me, but I don't know if my mind, the way that my mind works, is just, I like fantasy and science fiction, so I don't know if that kind of creates a sort of bias, but it only makes sense to me that this is how it functions, and this is how I should look at it. Because I don't want to say we, because I don't want to feel as though I am forcing an idea onto someone. I'm just sharing based on my experiences and my research and observation, and me just thinking critically, right? So we have that idea, right, of them and their role and how they put us in direct connection with ancestors. We have the fact that they are they're the oldest. They've been here longer than we have been here, so they've experienced a lot. They've survived everything that has transpired in our history. They have survived it, and well, because it's mycelium. Yeah, this idea that we have elders that we could look to is problematic for me, because everything that we have now, that we think we know, has been corrupted. Think about it. Even things like Santeria, it's based on African traditional religious or spiritual systems. It has been corrupted because there are elements of Catholicism, like in terms of how they use saints, and they pair them with their own gods, and because it's similar, and they find ways they use it as a way to continue to practice their traditions without being penalized. Even in these systems, we can see the role that Christianity has played, and Christianity in itself is sir, can you stop that, please? I am doing something, okay? Christianity is a corrupt type of system, and anything that has any type of affiliation with Christianity and with colonial mentality is corrupt. Intrinsically, it has been corrupted by another mode of thinking that was brought and put onto groups of people. This sort of corruption, it makes me very distrustful. Like I don't feel like I can trust certain ideas, because of what has happened. When a lot of our traditions and our belief systems, they were carried on through oral traditions, through stories, through narrative, tales, and through griot culture and things like that. How much of that original information remained intact, that we can say, okay, we can look to these elders and they have the information, we can look to them and be confident and comfortable that all that they have to offer us is all that there is. This is the truth here, so we go to them, and and I guess people could contest this idea that mushrooms are the elders, and that's who we should go to for questions and looking for truth. With that same thing contested, saying the same thing that I'm saying here about elders, and how do we know we can get universal truth? Like, we can get the truth from these particular things, but just it's not just me and my experiences. When we look at the information and we look at the cultural past of psychoactive mushrooms or entheogens in general, we see a lot of cultures using them for ancient cultures having a lot of information that we're like, how did they know these things? How did they figure this out? How did they get how did they build this pyramid to line up with the stars and lay lines? Like, how did they know these things that you cannot generally see with your naked eyes, in your waking consciousness? And then you have an experience with psychoactive mushrooms, and then you're like, wait, I can see all of these things. This thing is wait, this whoa, I can see the water in the air. We live in water. And then you have these revelations, and only then these mystical ideas make sense to you based on this experience that you've had. Well, at least it worked that way for me, and I'm sure that it worked that way for a lot of other people. So it is not hearsay, or it is not a crazy thought that mushrooms carry or they hold all of this information, because they literally do when you think about how they literally functions. And this is why it is important for us to bring together science and spirituality, because they're not different. You know, there's no separation between science and spirituality. It is the same thing. The only difference is the way we term it, and the way we look at it and we communicate the ideas behind it. Mythology and mysticism, they stem out of people trying to express something that they didn't have all of these, or they didn't have the understanding, or because it's not that should I say understanding, but okay, yeah, the understanding of how the specifics of something, how something works. Science has been able to really give us a one-up on it when we have things like microscopes and telescopes, and we have different tools that help us get this information. And entheogens and things like mushrooms, they are tools as well that functions very similar, very much like a microscope or a telescope, in that it gives us access to smaller dimensions, bigger dimensions. Like it offers all of that to us. So I think that it is extremely important for us to readjust this way that we're thinking about the role that plant medicine plays in our current lives. I think that right now, especially because of our past, our history, and what has been lost and what has been corrupted, it is important for us to get to the source. All of these, Ifa, Islam, all of these different religions, or because even these current African spiritual systems, they are religions. They are religions. So all of these religions, there is a beginning, there is a source, and it only makes sense to me for us to go to the source rather than reach midway and say, oh wow, this is so enlightening, this is all of this information, da, 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 when we know that something came before. And that is kind of, I guess, my entire point with looking to mushrooms as the elder. I don't know, I feel like this might be a bit disjointed, maybe not, we'll see. And I trust that I was able to articulate what I was trying to express clearly, and that you understand where I was coming from, and that it resonates with somebody somewhere, and I'm grateful for your time and the energy that you gave me listening to me go on about this particular topic. I'm grateful, and thank you, and look forward to seeing you in this space again. Peace. You never know.
Water just come and bite me.
Water does bite mice?
No.
Okay, so
It was some creatures that bite me up.
in the water?
Mm-hmm.